Welcome back! I'm Cuthbert Bucket. In the last video, I had a lot to say about Mario Kart World, and I'll have more to say about it in this one. Last video mostly covered the weaknesses of the game compared to the rest of the Mario Kart series. But this video is different. Today, I'm going to be singing the praises of a bunch of different games, and then turning that praise into more general thoughts on Mario Kart World. Like, how does it stack up? Anyway, I ended the last video teasing Kirby Air Riders, and we will be talking about that game at some point. But I can't talk about that without talking about Kirby Air Ride. Has a long and very interesting development history. I'm not going to cover it. It released in 2003 to a confused critical reception because the game did not take a structure they had seen before, and a lot of them didn't play or understand the third game mode. Air Ride saw things differently for a bit. The brainchild of the genius behind Meteos, it turned the gas pedal on its head. Instead of holding A to go forward, you pressed A to stop, copy, attack, charge, and released it to boost. Say, that's a lot more than just a gas pedal. Is it a good idea to have all of that on one button? Conventional design wisdom would indicate a lack of nuance or depth. On the surface, this would appear to be the case. But a lot of these actions are incongruent. If there's a copy ability on your path, you probably don't want to do a full boost charge after inhaling it, so you want to spend as little time pressing the A button as possible. This also means you want to time your presses well, as each failed press, or press held too long, results in lost speed. The copy abilities themselves also use the A button to attack, so slowing down enemy racers is only as effective as you are consistent. Suddenly, a choice that makes the game far easier to learn, single button gameplay, has actually made it hard to master. I haven't even mentioned the stick yet either. Yes, of course it turns your vehicle and is a key component in the drift boost, but you can pull back on ramps to glide, angle for perfect landings, and quick spin. Your options in this game are surprisingly multifaceted. Killing enemies and hitting rivals gives you a small speed boost. Getting hit makes you slow down. To race properly, you'll have to combine offense with tight cornering. You can draft behind someone and go in for an attack, or swerve around them and take the lead. A copy ability can become a strong defensive tool. The quick spin is good, but it's the weakest offense at your disposal. I've been showing this all to you on the game's simpler tracks, but if we start throwing in the more complex ones, then you get to see this game really go off. The stuff you get to do in Air Ride looks great and feels even greater. Thing is, when you first play the game, it's gonna look like this. You're not going to get how to optimize your speed. All you've seen is the intro tutorial video, though it's likely most players skipped that. Also, you aren't going to have all of the interesting stars unlocked. I've done enough describing mechanics for now. What does this actually do for the game as a whole? It encourages you to be as aggressive as possible. The vehicle moves forward without your input, making just going the default in your mind. Hitting opponents gives you a far larger boost than it slows them down, and your machine hungrily seeks them out. This subconsciously tunes your mind to see the track as a battleground. This all comes to a head in the game's signature mode, City Trial, where all of these mechanics start working overtime. The gliding, attacking, moving, and now hunting for power-ups. It's the final key that makes Air Ride click. Begs the question if it's really a racing game. But it is! It is! Without the track to guide you, the complex and expressive movement can finally be decided by the player. Your track is lined by the stat patches you want, the power-ups you need, and the people you want to kill. It's a whole new style of racing, with an unpredictable climax that tests all manner of machine mastery. Do you make the all-rounder? Try for something specialist? Search for the legendary machine pieces? It's up to you, and always fun. And you can go play Top Ride for a bit if you get bored. How do you improve upon this? Last video was very negative, so I feel it's only right to rebound a little. I'm going to spend the length of a single default city trial match talking about all of the different ways that this sequel innovates upon its source. The fundamentals of the racing have not changed on the surface, but there are key refinements. The effect you get from defeating enemies and hitting rivals has been exaggerated from a temporary speed increase to a brief boost. Drafting from wins has been changed to a star trail system, making the existence of the mechanic more tactile and clear, and extending the length of it to make comebacks more exciting. New copy abilities and the removal of some annoying older ones create an all-around improvement. Drill and Flash are so fun to use, you'll wonder what you ever did without them. Characters are far more than just a cosmetic choice, and are far more than just a stats choice. Each character brings a special ability, and most have a passive ability too. Swapping between little doofuses has never been more fun. I like Taranza the most. I really thought I'd be playing Purple Kirby exclusively again, but sometimes a design just grips at your heart. The way each character animates is also just really lovable. The new ideas for machines too. They added 2 new types of vehicles in the chariots and the tanks. Shockingly, despite having wheels, none of these play at all like the wheelies. There are so many ways to make the way you play this game yours. Customizability is key. Not only does this game boast the best accessibility options in any first-party Nintendo game, bar none, every machine can be customized in an amazingly robust custom system, shared online and enjoyed. Look at some of these wonderful machines. Not just that, but you can customize a card for yourself and give your character a fun hat to wear. They bring back the checklist, bigger and bolder than ever before, with every square giving you something. Every single square! 5 fucking checklists! It's the dream, man! The dream! Air Ride, the mode, returns with every single track from the first game as unlocks. They also had the courtesy to make every single new track fantastic. Original Air Ride was clearly trying to figure out what sort of track design worked for its unique type of gameplay, but now they understand. Lots of split paths, dynamic track gimmicks, and machine-dependent routes. And the music tracks, oh my god, they're wonderful. Emotive compositions that follow how it feels to race on that track. Top Ride, the lovable whipping boy, has had an overhaul. Now a match for the other modes in quality. Larger tracks, every vehicle selectable, no longer restricted by being made in a different engine. Yes, 2003 Top Ride was a different engine to the other 2 modes. City Trial. What can I even say about this mode that hasn't already been said? More events, more variety, high-flying vehicle swapping insanity. All of the events that wasted time or didn't do anything have been axed for a new emphasis on events that make you wager more destruction for more stat patches. Pick any song in the game in the Smash-styled My Music selection, including basically any song from the original. Want to trial it old school? Game has no problem with that. You can play as a team, play alone, play with 4, 8, 10, 16 people. This city won't sleep. The single player campaign with a story that recontextualizes how I see the original game as a whole. New bosses that are also used as city trial events to replace Versus DDD, the first game's shittiest stadium. Instead of everyone winning or everyone losing, players are ranked by how much damage they were able to do to the boss, and each are given actually fun attacks. Spoiler territory, timestamp. Yes, the game actually has things worth spoiling. Road Trip contains payoffs for things established in Superstar. You learn more about Nova's deal as a monkey's paw initiator. You see a named character get turned into a world-destroying machine, and you work to free him. You also work to add this motherfucker to City Trial as a new legendary machine that turns one lucky player into the final stadium. Holy shit, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. game does everything right. From something that only kind of resembles racing cars, to something that tries to be as racing cars as possible. I haven't really got the time here to cover pure simulation races. I mean, the video's long enough as it is. Just know I respect them and see them as valuable training tools for real athletes. You got driving games that try and be realistic, and you got driving games that try and be sort of realistic and a little fun. Forza Horizon is an open world that's structured a lot like Mario Kart World. You can go around and collect a bunch of cars and do open world events and missions. Small things to collect, rare cars to find. I mean, it turns out the literal first thing anyone did when they put cars in an open world was to dot a bunch of shit around the place and encourage you to do tricks and drift and speed around at your leisure. I like the amount of funny and iconic cars Horizon has. Yeah, you can bring out some powerful beast muscle cars, but me, I'd rather have my Gremlin.
No, I just made my last game.
The Forza Horizon series has only been the main premium open world racing game for the last 14 years, so obviously Nintendo couldn't have taken any pointers from it. Or Motorfest, or The Crew, or Need for Speed, which all do the same damn thing. It's all mission markers on maps. Custom track creation has been part of the Forza Horizon series for a long time. Hell, custom track creation dates as far back as 2009's Fuel. You could just draw tracks in this game and play them. This game is unique and kind of terrifying. Set in an apocalyptic wasteland after the events of global warming, it certainly creates some striking imagery for an otherwise quite unremarkable racing game. Another thing Fuel is famous for is its map size. In the background during the sentence, I'm going to show you some sped up footage of me driving between 2 points on the map. Give it a moment. And there we are. See, that was quite a long journey. How much of the map do you think I covered? Well, all of that driving covered this line right here. Zoom out, and that's the scale of the whole map. Horrifying. It would be very easy to call this vast expanse pointless bloat with no artistic value, because, like nearly all open world design, it kind of is. If it was a quarter of the size, there really wouldn't be anything to talk about. But something about the excessive scale gives the world a feeling of isolation and desolation that you wouldn't see otherwise. It makes the apocalypse feel truly real, and it almost feels like an artistic statement on just how far you can push the scale of a video game world before it breaks. I really have to respect it. The mountains and hills and valleys in this game are too damn huge, but the races across them turn them into thrilling set pieces. I'm not going to pretend it's flawless. A lot of it isn't that interesting in a vacuum, but I think the implementation of it is far more thoughtful than people give it credit for. And the colours of the lighting sometimes, it's weirdly beautiful and scenic. I also love how the game just exaggerates its lighting. The huge oranges, deep purples and blues. It's genuinely a very beautiful game a lot of the time. Beautiful and ugly. And massive. It really is fucking massive. I mean, look at this. That is Breath of the Wild in the top left for a map size comparison. But now we're getting into the stranger side of driving games. Fuel is far from realistic. I mean, outside of its realistically sized open world being larger than San Francisco. Wait a second. Driver San Francisco is one of my favourite games of all time. I could do a whole video on it if it, hadn't already been done a million times. Besides, I'd prefer it if you just played the game for yourself. Easier said than done. When I had the idea for this video, one of the first things I remembered was how much fun I had in the San Francisco free roam. In Driver SF, you have the ability to do this. Play the game to find out why. You can shift into any vehicle on the road, taking control of the vehicle immediately. Passing by people, drifting, and a myriad of other things give you willpower, the game's currency. Of course, the map is littered, coated even, with missions large and small. You can find movie tokens in entertaining places, like obscure jumps and odd side routes. Movie tokens unlock movie challenges, which are recreations of classic car chases that were set on the streets of San Francisco. When I say I want unlocks in a free roam, this is the type of awesome shit I'm thinking of. Dares littered across the map let you bring your car, your knowledge, and your skills, and force you to look at the open world in a different way in order to complete them properly, because you are able to complete them anywhere. It's a very interesting type of mission, and I wish more games took inspiration from it. And for beating dares and getting missions, you unlock all kinds of awesome shit. Seriously, this game's car selection, whilst smaller than something like Forza Horizon, is so good. It's so perfect. You can bump a police car and instantly start a police chase. The open-ended nature of the game allows you to either drive your way out or shift into trucks to obliterate your pursuers. Hell, you can even shift into a police car and tag a car marked as a criminal and play from the other side for once. Cars can have passengers too.
Hey, nice ride. Too bad.
Meg, it's a car. Must everything be a metaphor for your manhood?
Let me get back to you on that.
It says it's things like this that made her start drinking in the afternoons.
Oh, Jesus, kid.
Go on then, do it. Kill us both.
Did you know this game has like a million lines of dialogue for specific car types? And the dialogue trees branch out depending on how you play and what you do? It's such a cool game. Please play it. Hell, you can even play the free roam in co-op split screen. You could do this on the Xbox 360. You and a pal, driving around and smashing cars into each other. It's a fucking blast. It would be nice if Mario Kart World offered a... Driver SF also had a fully featured online multiplayer that allowed you to invite 7 other friends to free roam and also play a variety of multiplayer modes directly from the free roam. So go ahead, horse around with the horsepower of the entire San Francisco freeway. Arcade races are characterised by their snappy movement and reckless nature. The cars in arcade races generally don't have grounded physics and control more like a very wide man charging at top speed. Daytona USA here is pretty quintessential, but I suck complete ass at it, so let's talk about Sonic Riders. It counts, Sega made it. One of my favourite racing games of the 2000s, played here with the Tournament Edition mod for net play stability. This game wasn't well understood at the time of release because of its complex mechanics and lack of real tutorial. Now, if you just popped this game into an emulator and didn't get it, hey, fair enough. But reviewers had the manual. The manual that, in no uncertain terms, explains exactly how to play the game. Sonic Riders is a fast and difficult game to learn how to control, and it doesn't really control like a kart racer. It's in a class of its own, really. It's a bit SSX, a bit Outrun, a bit Sonic R, I guess. It's quite daring to have the basic movement of the game be this precise, and I think reviewers and people who got the game at the time weren't expecting something quite as bold. It definitely doesn't make itself approachable. It's very easy to get turned around the wrong way, and recovering from this is not as simple as you'd think. There's a lot of times where someone else's actions can completely screw you over, but that's part of the game's identity. A bit like Sonic Heroes, each character has either speed, flight, or power, and this gives them access to different passive abilities and shortcuts. Speed characters are fast and can use grind rails. Flight characters can soar through rings, and power characters can speed up by smashing through props on the track. You're always using your air up by moving and drifting, and only tricks, pickups, and air refill stations can stop you from inevitably running out. You can pick up rings to level up, which increases your character's stats and how hard they hit. Some of these characters and vehicles are Tournament Edition exclusives, but each vehicle grants a character some wild new passive that can completely change the way you play. Combined, the flow state you achieve in this game is unparalleled. Each race is tense, savage, and there's very little in the way of items. Just racing, extreme slipstreaming, boosting, and not fucking up. There are far more mechanics in this game than I can reasonably cover in this video, but just know that this game is seriously fast, seriously brutal, and seriously fun. And Eggman can do this for some ungodly reason. The sequel, Zero Gravity, tones a lot of the game's speed and input complexity way the hell down, and doesn't have much to fill the void. The Zero Gravity mechanic lets you fling yourself to some shortcuts, which is neat, but the far slower speed of everything makes it feel breezy and sluggish. I really don't like how frequently you have to halt your momentum and hear the music do its cool effect. It's constant. Not the worst game ever, but I don't like it as much as I like
Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing!
Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing was the next major Sonic racing game. One step forward, a quarter step back. It swapped out the completely unique Riders systems for more familiar kart racing systems. This doesn't mean it's a dull time. The drifting in this game feels utterly godlike, and the game is more about positioning, angling, and nailing drift chains rather than using items. In fact, this game has some of the best item balance I've seen in any kart racer. Timing a level 3 boost lets you get away from tracking items. They're the perfect amount of impactful to not be annoying, but using them doesn't feel pointless. There's very few power items. The blue shell equivalent can be detonated early to actually affect people that matter closer to the person that threw it. Instead, each character has their own all-star move for if they're too far behind. Only one can be active at once, and each character has their own one, and they are full of personality. Speaking of personality, the game has probably the best in-race commentator I've heard in a video game. He's got a huge variety of lines and is actually charming and witty.
Feeling excitement! Ooh la la, it's a fine race ahead of the pack! Well done and
Plenty of exciting racetracks, an incredible cast of Sega classics that aren't just Sonic characters, and 64 unique missions make this one of my personal favourites in the kart racing genre. It's just great! All-Stars Racing Transformed is a very different game. Some people like it more than the first, but I'm not in that crowd. Firstly, it has a far weaker roster. Yes, you two, Vise and Knights are fantastic additions. There are some other good additions as well, but no Bonanza Brothers, no Opa Opa, no Zobio and Zobico, no Choo Choo Rocket. Instead, you have Football Manager, a bunch of Total War guys, TF2, and Wreck-It Ralph. And I'm not someone obsessed with having games that celebrate franchises, but it feels like a far smaller slice of unique looking characters. And the car designs just aren't quite as killer. But it's the gameplay that's important here. Transformed heavily expands on the original game's air trick system, and turns it into a twin-stick strategic play every time you get air. You have to cram as many tricks as you can into each little bit of airtime, but the punishment for colliding into the ground during a trick is massive. The first All-Star Racing has a far simpler trick system, but Transformed is all about it. As a result, it has a far lower emphasis on insane drifting, losing a bit of complexity in how drifts are executed in return for a wider array of mechanics. The items feel stronger too, but often have a multitude of ways to use them. The Swarm item litters the upcoming track with annoying hazards, the Snowball item can be thrown as 3 weak projectiles or held to fire them as 1 power projectile. It's a surprisingly complicated game, but when you get down to it and understand how to play it, it's a game about using every mechanic at your disposal to keep your boost chain going. Each transformation has its unique mechanics, gimmicks, and quirks that you need to exploit in order to succeed. And while each transformation on its own would be a pretty weak game, it's about interlacing all 3. And hell, it does a lot more of water sections and air sections than Mario Kart 8 ever did. You may have noticed that most of the game's footage used in this video is from the World Tour Mission mode. This is because I like to actually play and unlock everything for myself, but I just didn't realise this would be a deranged fucking task. As they unlock Riala and Aegis, the last 2 characters in the game, you need to start doing expert level missions, and holy shit, these do not fuck around. Now, I have a lot of respect for real unlocks that require actual effort, but I think this approach is the excessive. So let's call it 1 step forward, 1 step back, 1 step to the left. I don't like this game as much as All Stars Racing, but it is a game worthy of respect that has definitely been overlooked. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is the latest Sonic Racing outing, and I have to say, I'm very impressed. I mean, I can't believe it took them this long to put Jet the Hawk into a racing game again. Cross Worlds' additions to its series go overlooked. First off, it has an excellent Grand Prix mode. Probably one of the best structured I've ever seen. We all know how kart racers love having one CPU that's just a little bit stronger than the others. Cross Worlds has an entire system designed around this. At the start of a Grand Prix, you get to pick a rival out of the game's cast, and this one character will be powerful and hostile. They're always marked on the map. They taunt you. There's interactions between every character in the game, which is a pretty insane amount of effort. By being so upfront about it, they turn a thing I normally find kind of annoying into something fun. The fact they're always a threat to your position, gloating when they win, complaining when they lose. Over the course of your Grand Prix, you actually do feel a rivalry form. The system works. It's also fun to repetitively target them and get your rival to lose to the weaker but still good CPUs. The final race of the Grand Prix is also worth more points for first place, which adds a pretty wonderful bit of tension to the final race. If you're behind, it's a chance to make a comeback, and if you're ahead, it might give your rival a chance at snagging victory. I also think the way the 3 laps are structured adds a feeling of rising tension. Lap 1 is standard, lap 3 is lap 1 but amped up, and lap 2 is something else entirely. It can be any track in the game, or a selection of 1 lap exclusive Cross Worlds. I actually really like this, as it gives this game a very different flow to the average kart racer. Lap 2 normally feels like a filler lap, it's like the Wednesday of kart races. Making it something different keeps it feeling fresh and interesting, but keeping lap 3 closer to lap 1, it makes sure you keep that satisfying circuit feeling. All Stars Racing and Transformed often had the tracks change on their final lap, so I do like seeing Cross Worlds take that aspect and really run wild with it. They bring back super pickups, flying, water sections, but there's more of a unified feel to them, and the time you spend driving in a car is greatly increased. It's juggling a lot of these old ideas with great finesse. Gadgets are a great extension of Transformed's kits. Sure, you can just use them to modify the stats of a vehicle to make it act like a different one, but where's the fun in that? Give yourself some new passives, new abilities, remove some of your weaknesses, or emphasize your strengths. The item balance isn't quite as clean as the first two All Stars Racing games, and criminally, it includes a direct blue shell equivalent. What makes it work, despite that, is how low impact the items are. In a good way! They just slow you down a bit. Great! This game toes the line between too chaotic and just about right. One thing for sure, it's constantly exciting. All of these Sonic racing games have one thing in common. They are all better than most of the Mario Kart series. What other kart races even are there? Oh, well, Mario Kart 2 already has a video dedicated to it. Made by yours truly. One of my finest, even still. Now, Mario Kart 4 came out in 2025, and it is a shockingly respectable kart racer. Much like 2, it's very light on numbers, not that many characters or tracks, but the core of the game is pretty fun. I really like how the drifting feels. The tracks are inventive, the graphics evoke a pleasant cartoon feel, a bit like a modern reimagining of Mario Kart 1's aesthetics. They even brought back some items from Mario Kart 1, which is nuts. There's a non-zero chance the developers have seen my video about Mario Kart 2, because they took some smart cues from it. Like 1, making the game fast and fun, and 2, including Lesson. I've missed Lesson so much. You wouldn't understand. You don't get it. It's a very lovable game, clearly on a tight budget, ambitious, but cheap. Wow, a true successor to Mario Kart 2. I don't know what to say. I'm just happy I can live in such a wonderful. So, we wrapped back around to where this whole tirade began. After this many pot shots, put downs, pans and prattling, you'd think I'd be sick of it by now. And truthfully, it's getting to that point. So let's wrap this up and never talk about this game again. Probably. A lot of the praise for Mario Kart World boils down to the core gameplay, the aesthetics, and a third thing you can insert yourself. These are all fair. It is not the worst game ever. There is fun to be had. I have had fun with the game. This video has been about comparing it to its peers because I judge games differently based on their price and their scale. The bigger the company who makes it, the bigger the game is priced, the more my views change from is the core fundamental moment-to-moment good to how good is it as a complete package. Thing is, more and more indie games release for less than a third of Mario Kart World's price that feel like complete, no compromises packages. I've been trying to think of a good way to display the way I feel. I've already talked about how I feel about the open world. You know, tiny challenges and token collectibles are fries in a world that contains rundung. It's cheap, easy, low commitment. If it was supplemented with a story mode, or if 100 small missions were replaced with a set of 20 larger missions with more going on, I would like the game more. It would feel more meaningful. Changing topics a little bit, during the production of this video, I found myself playing these games interchangeably. I would hop from one to the other as I felt, filling out each section non-chronologically, this section included. As I rotated from game to game to game to game to game, I found myself in a very different position to where I was making the first part. Cycling through so many games, it soured me a lot more involved than I expected. One of the stranger things I felt was that the game it lacks a lot of things. And the video is going to speak louder than words here, just take a look.
You ever start to get bad thoughts?
What about?
You know, wondering stuff about people close to you.
Don't know where you're going with this.
Get our way, that's different.
flag you try to front on my street. Oh, don't even stand over there like you all that, man. Stop fronting. You know that win should be mine.
Look how much longer it takes to select Wario.
Select your player. Okay.
Wario. Wario. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Wario time.
You see what I mean, right? I understand not every single game ever literally has to be the exact same in the way it presents things, but I don't know, there's just something a little off about Mario Kart World compared to its contemporaries. But I've got one more silver bullet that really represents how I feel about this game. And it is genuinely indefensible, incredibly simple, and it could be patched in tomorrow to screw this whole video over. It's a feature you have definitely interacted with before, a feature you have definitely disabled or enabled to your taste, and once you notice it is not in Mario Kart World, you'll agree with me how weird it is. Rumble settings. You can't turn off, reduce, or alter the rumble. The way the game expects you to change it is to disable it system-wide in the settings. And why is this a problem for me? I mean, I want to turn the goddamn rumble off! If you're using a controller that doesn't have HD rumble, like me, you'll find this game's implementation of non-HD rumble to be pretty nasty on the hands. It's so much rumble that it legitimately compromises the battery of the controller. It is ridiculous! If you do anything, the controller goes ham! And it's not an innate HD rumble problem either. I've played multiple games designed for HD rumble with this controller, and there's never been this much damn vibration. Drifting, jumping, tricking, moving through the menus, breathing, all of this shit makes a non-HD rumble controller go fucking ballistic. I don't often get bothered by this, but it gets nearly hand-numbing after a short session. And no, I don't want to go into the system settings and turn it off globally, because that disables it for literally every controller, for every single game, and I'd have to go back in there to turn it on afterwards, and there's literally no reason for me to have to do that. Literally every other game in existence lets you change rumble. Look! And it goes beyond racing games. It's not just about the rumble. This goes back to the complete package thing I was talking about earlier. The game is riddled with stuff like this. Constant why nots and why can't I's. I feel like I'm going mad when I see people heap praise upon this anemic game. It just doesn't feel like a premium experience to me. It feels like a game that has been finished at its core, but they have rushed literally everything else. Like an abandoned early access game or an open beta. That recent update where they added Team Knockout Tour is starting to make me suspicious that they've been drip feeding these microscopic modes, and there's possibly a 2.0 update where the game actually starts feeling complete. That Team Knockout mode's actually a pretty fun idea, but you can only play it online, and I couldn't even play it with 2 people connected to the room from the same console. During the production of this video, Kirby Air Riders also got an update that added an unexpected new mode, a hotly requested control fix, balance updates, and a new way of hosting online matches that makes the re-hosting process automatic. Look how much control you get over the modes in this game. Mario Kart World players would kill for this sort of choice. But Nintendo doesn't have to give a shit. It still gets raving reviews. It's Mario Kart. Despite all my hatred and pestering, I still want the best for this game. But the developers aren't going to listen if we validate this feature-like game with overwhelming praise. The game's biggest fans constantly have to tussle with these strange inconveniences. Even in 3-lap only lobbies, you can technically just pick intermissions just to be a dickhead because there's no way to fully turn them off. I mean, what a turn off. Time to turn this video off. And I mean, the world itself makes no sense. So, like, is it the Mushroom Kingdom? Or is it like a different, like, resort island that they're going to? I just don't get it, right? Because it has all the features of the Mushroom Kingdom. The game kind of implies it's the Mushroom Kingdom, but also that the characters are on some sort of world tour. Which, how are they on a, like, you know, they're tourists in their own country? Like, do they not know their own place? Like, it's not that big of an area. It's really hard to gauge if it's a fake place or like a real place. Like, they don't make it clear at all, which I think was one of the reasons behind there being no story mode. They couldn't commit to any one individual thing. Some places are clearly places of natural wonder, like that salty speedway place. Clearly a very natural area. The Acorn place, clearly natural.